Uh, yeah. So we do have, and honestly, a lot of the history that we've been able to reconstruct comes from, well, you'll see. Let me share this again, and we will get into our study. So last week we talked about two congregations merging and meeting here, or meeting together for the first time in October of 1937. And yeah, we talked a little about our first minister, whose name was W.B. West, and I showed you this portrait that I sat under at Harding School of Theology for about a week last spring. And well, with WB looking over my shoulder, he was sort of he originated the graduate program both at Pepperdine and Harding in religion. Had a long career as an academic. And so he was with us for about a year. And then in pretty quick succession, we had two other ministers, Ed Craddock and Yater Tant. But one of the most important things that happened earlier on, for our purposes, I suppose, is that the group incorporated in 1939 because they wanted to buy property. They were meeting, you may remember, at a lodge, and they wanted to buy property of their own, had to incorporate to do that. So we have incorporation documents, I think, still upstairs from 1939. And almost 2 years later, the church moved into the building that we occupy now, 1941, January 1st, 1941. Bought it from the Evangelical Lutheran Slavonic Trinity Church, and uh, that is a church that is now Trinity Lutheran at uh, down here at Elston and Foster, and that they moved there after they sold us their building. Um, and you can see the building look a little different then than it does now. Um, this is a quick a list of a few people who were with us from 1956 when Northwest occupied the building. You will see Mr. and Mrs. S. Bain. Is that any relation to you, Alan? Alan's mom and dad were two of those members. Mr. and Mrs. W.G. Hamilton, I believe Jane's grandfather and grandmother, correct? Father and mother. And there's Rosemary Allen there. And I believe that would be Dan's mother, who was.
My aunt is just to the left of her.
Oh, okay. Oh, Willamette Colvin.
Colvin.
Okay, okay. That's your aunt. Okay, I would have underlined her if I'd known. But
Pepperdine from her.
okay.
Yeah, then my grandmother, Odell Fields, is there.
Okay, and your grandmother's Odell Fields. Okay, okay, yep, there she is. Okay. I knew Mabel, sure. Yeah. Mabel's the one I think who did some of this. She put together kind of a scrapbook. Northwest's first minister in the new building was a man named Yater Tant, Fanning Yater Tant. And his father, JD, was a Texas preacher who was well known to be pretty cantankerous. And Yater later on, his son wrote a nice tribute to him after his death. Yater's son wrote a nice tribute to him after his death, in which he mentioned the fact that he had seen online a response to his father's death, which was he was the Darth Vader of Churches of Christ. And he says, my dad would have laughed about that. He would have thought that was very funny. He got that reputation for some reasons later on, a kind of a dispute that happened later on that we'll talk about a little bit. But was he your parents knew him, I guess.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
married by.
Married by him, yes, yes. So, and I don't think he wore a black mask and rasped as he did the wedding or anything. So, a lot of times it's your perspective that says a lot. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. He was known as the Darth Vader of Churches of Christ, somebody thought. Anyway, you see a brochure there, come to the new home of Northwest Church of Christ, some sort of publicity document, a publicity piece, I guess, that we put together. And you see the building looks a little bit different. This is just from a website, the Czech and Slovak American Genealogy Society of Illinois. That's a mouthful. But they have some records of churches and whatnot. And they're talking about this Lutheran church that because their members were all migrating to the north and west sides, they bought this property, this land in the Mayfair district at Wilson and Kilbourne in January 1923. Built a structure for $23,000. Yeah.
Buy a car for that.
So the church was dedicated in 1924. That was the Lutheran church. They eventually sold it and eventually built the much larger building that still sits over at Elston and Foster. One of the first things that Northwest did as a congregation is they planted another church. They planted a congregation in Evanston, Illinois, that eventually moved a little further north and became the Wilmette Church of Christ. That still exists.
Yeah.
Still there. Yep. And so very early on, we were sort of and I don't know that it was like a conscious, we need to plant new churches. It seems to mostly have been, we had people living up that way. And so we just sort of encouraged them and helped them. Mr. Tant there preached at both churches for quite some time. And I think eventually left Northwest to sort of to be at the Evanston church full time. After him was a man named Charles Caldwell. I don't know a lot about Mr. Caldwell. I do know that by the time he was there, we were about 157 people at Northwest. Names like Cindy and Roma Bain and Ruth Hale and her daughters, Frances Anderson and Maxine Wawara, Mabel Kammermeyer, Mildred McCaslin, some people, a lot of you know, appear on those records. Esther Spiro, Marvin Springer, Marge Zini. And so, so, you know, the church was continuing to grow and to minister to the community.
People in the military.
I have not seen much of that. There were some people who left during the World War II era, and you wonder if it wasn't men going overseas, women moving away to be, you know, closer to family. I don't know the answer to that question exactly. I know that during the World War II era, the elders, the four elders that we talked about last week that were part of Northwest at the beginning, were no longer elders. I think it was that three left, and only and B.R. Wright was remaining. Because one of the things that happened shortly after World War II is the installation of new elders. After Caldwell came J.D. Thomas, another guy who had a long career in academics. He was a professor of Bible and chair of the Bible department for many years at Abilene Christian. And
he was also here to get his PhD from the University
at U Chicago. That's right. That happened a few times. People came here to get their. At the time, U Chicago had a very well respected graduate program and doctoral program in religion, and there weren't that many of them in the nation, in the country, and so you know your options were few, and Chicago was a pretty good place to come. One thing about J.D. Thomas is he helped create the Christian Scholars Conference that sort of rotates among schools and churches of Christ and continues to do so today. So that's gone on a long time.
So in a way, all the Church of Christ are like.
Well,
Not that deep.
we have connections. We have informal connections, I would say. Schools, just relationships, people know one another, and create and connections get created that way. We don't have any structure above the local,
Like when I see one, I'm
Yeah.
like, I go there. maybe.
but we know one another. Yeah.
I've got some books autographed by J.D.
Oh, really?
Thomas. All right, I inherited.
Yeah, that's cool. He has actually, you can, ACU has a really great digital archive, and not everything is actually on the archive, but there's a list of what's on the archive, and J.D. Thomas's papers are one of the things that's in their archives. I spoke to him on the phone one time years ago. We were doing kind of a homecoming sort of thing shortly after I got here, and I wanted to see if he would come and speak for us, and he just said he was not in good enough health, but he was very gracious and very kind. The only time I ever talked to him. But
You were like 24, 25, right?
Hmm?
Weren't you like 24, 25? When you first got here?
I was 25.
25.
So we bought a parsonage in 1945, not the one that we have now, but we bought one, and it was over on Kildare, just south of Montrose.
Oh, apart.
A parsonage where a house for the ministry.
Oh.
We have records in 1947 show over 200 members. There was a fire in 1946. The church was actually damaged by a fire in the boiler room, caused by a bad oil burner, it says, somebody said. So it burned out the floor over there, and they had to do some rebuilding. I know. Kind of amazing. A lot of it was that history that Dan and Jane and others worked on. It was a lot of the stuff that and then you can kind of go back and see evidence of it in bulletins and whatnot. But something that was pretty significant to us, I suppose, is that in 1948, the front of the building was added on. It looks kind of funny there, doesn't it? It's kind of looks like it doesn't really belong. It doesn't really match. I think they must have changed the facade later on, but they just sort of stuck on this glass box at the front of the building to make an entryway, and floored over the old. If you may remember from the other picture, the main door was the side. You came in on the side. They floored over all that and just created a new entryway.
How long was it actually blast?
Huh?
How long was it actually blast?
I do not know about that. I think a few baseballs through the window made them put in the plexi.
When I was a teenager, it was still glass.
Still glass.
A lot nicer that way.
Yes.
It's some of the ugliest plexiglass.
It probably just needs replacing, but that would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
One thing that I love that we did during this time, after World War II, after all the violence of World War II, we began sending boxes of clothing and other important items, food, overseas to Europe. And I don't know how we got on that. I never saw like an explanation of how we got those names or how, but we sent these boxes, and several bulletins in 47, 48 include notes like this one from Maguliana Gortania in Greece. I received the 3 bundles sent by your benevolence, one containing food, the other 2 full of children's clothing, and I'm thanking you for this, your kindness. You did greatly encourage a family man with 12 people to keep us in this worldly life preservation under the present conditions after the wild pillaging of our belongings by the barbarian conquerors. Sometimes it's impossible for us to even buy a needle. Your doing is very Christian-like and philanthropic, and the Most High will recompense you for your great efforts. We're very grateful. So anyway, just a nice, a cool letter from Greece. Just acknowledging. I looked up, by the way, Maguiana. It's the highest inhabited village on the Peloponnese, on the peninsula there. So it's a little village up sort of tucked high in the mountains, and
No internet, no nothing.
well, I don't know now, they might have it, but they certainly didn't in 1947.
How did that even
I
happen?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we got the names, how we got the information, but we apparently sent quite a few, because there are quite a few letters that keep coming back. Mostly Europe. I think mostly Greece or Italy. There was somebody that was French, but I wasn't.
That's very
It was
interesting.
occupied by the Nazis.
Yeah.
During the
Oh,
war,
was
and
it?
they caused great
Yes,
suffering there, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Hitler invaded Greece, yes.
Spain too, right?
41.
You know, was Esther Spiro here, you know, and
Yeah, they were.
the Greek family, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a-
maybe they knew.
Yeah, maybe they knew people. I don't know. I did see in one of the letters. I think it was Thomas who acknowledged Alex Spiro for translating. So he may have that may have been a connection they had. I'm not sure. But I just thought that was kind of a neat thing to kind of consider. And it's one of those things too, where I'm like, it's so cool that we did that. And then, keep in mind, there were people whose names I don't know who packed those boxes and sent those boxes off. And I don't know those names. The Lord knows those names, and that's enough. But I lose something by not knowing those names. I'm sorry I don't know those names. And but anyway, it's just kind of a neat thing to consider that somebody sometime 70 something years ago posted those
Goes up. Albania, right?
yeah, we've done the same thing in a couple of places. We sent some to a refugee camp in Africa once, twice maybe.
It's really true now to a larger extent than you think, that people don't have much of an online footprint.
Mhm.
So it's hard to find out what happened to them unless you
Yeah.
see them.
It is. Comments or anything at this point? After Thomas left, a man named James. I should also point out Schultz Lewis. This was the time when things started happening to create the Schultz Lewis Child and Family Services, and Thomas was a part of that. J.D. Thomas was a part of that. Those early days.
70s,
40s.
40s.
Yeah, 40s.
Regis Lewis died and left, about 400 acres for the construction of an orphanage. And some of the men of this congregation went over and physically built the early building for Schultz Lewis.
That's pretty cool.
Wow. Still there,
They don't still have 400 acres, do
yes.
they? They do, all that land?
The house and a number of acres are leased to farmers.
So they have some income off. it.
Yes.
So it's probably
Getting
going
going.
or something, right?
Well,
That's probably farmers.
In trust?
it's an arrangement where we can't sell it.
That's trust.
Oh, really? Otherwise, you might be tempted to,
Isn't
but
that trust?
No,
No.
but we wouldn't be tempted to.
no, they don't want to sell it now, They got good income then,
Yes.
probably a tax write-off.
Yeah, so that's neat to think that all these years later, Schultz Lewis is still serving families and children. And it's funny, one of the things that we have in our collection of historical documents is an issue of the Christian Chronicle that focused on the Chicago area. And there's a big, like half page ad about Schultz Lewis, one of them. And there's 4 kids who are going on to college, talking about how they're going on to college. And one of the kids is Dwayne Smith. which is kind of a cool thing.
He's still on our board.
Yeah, still on the board there, and of course you are, and it's a pretty neat thing, so. So that's, again, just real people who went down there and, swung a hammer and I don't know who all they are. Maybe you know some of the names. I don't
My
know.
dad was one of them.
Your dad was one of them? Yeah,
Probably
yeah,
did, yeah, I'm sure. He
yeah,
Viral Springer, Marvin's father. and
Yeah.
my father.
He was a carpenter.
Yeah, he was a good carpenter.
yeah,
A carpenter.
When they started having annual days, but I hear that that was a big outing from here.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Buses and.
Yeah, they got a 10, 20 guys together and they just,
Built some stuff.
that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
Everybody was more physical, and they didn't work in offices and do computers and.
And they probably didn't have a lot of codes they had to follow either. A lot of building codes they had to follow either.
Grew up on farms.
Yeah.
And they grew up. doing
Learning to build
this
stuff.
over.
Yeah.
Well, they could build stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, with me, it's not, I can, I'm, swinging a hammer is no problem, but I wouldn't know how to build something. So, I wouldn't know what to nail together, So, yeah, so it's pretty great that people know that stuff. So.
It really drew the congregations in Michigan and
Yeah.
Indiana and Illinois
Yeah.
together, those projects. That was the caring for orphans, and then there was an old folks home, which still exists over in the Detroit area.
Mhm.
And that was meant to fulfill that commandment, widows and orphans, take care of widows and orphans.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, we were involved with the Detroit,
Is there a congregation?
Oh, lot of-
Does connect to you guys, like Michigan?
Lots over there.
They're,
Lots of congregations, yeah.
no, that are connected directly to this church.
Well, as much as anyone is, we support one of them that sends a newsletter every month.
Mhm.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, I know that.
The Rogers City one. But yeah, there's no organizational connection by design.
It's a long way from Detroit. It's way-
Roger, yeah, that sounds far.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, that's, comes later.
So, I'm just pleased that that's part of our history, that we're a part of that.
It was the first building they built. I think.
Yeah,
My dad said he helped build that building.
The administration building was the first
That
one.
was the first one they built. Then they had the cottages and
yeah.
other things.
When it started, they had the boys on one end of
Yeah,
that building.
that was the whole thing.
Oh.
Boys on the other end.
Oh, wow.
That was it.
Wow, yeah.
That was it.
More like in a dormitory.
They had a lot of kids.
At one point I saw they were serving like 40 kids at one point, yeah, so.
Where's that located?
Valparaiso, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of still kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but,
Is it originated there?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think so, right?
yeah, it's still on
I heard
the
first
property.
when I was a kid.
So, these are, as I said, we appointed some new elders. This is a list of the elders, as far as I know, that we have had at Northwest. I may not have all the dates exactly right, but they're pretty close. And again, one of the things about that list is going back to 1937, and there were at least always two. We always want a plurality of elders, right? There was at least always two, and there's really not a long list going back to 1937. We've had some elders, if you notice, that Arthur Curdy served 21 years as an elder. Fred Boyd served 20, what is that, between his two terms there, 28, I guess. We have Marvin Springer, 20. Bill Piagari served 37 years as an elder. And Daryl Hutchins between his terms there served 40, what is that, 42. And so we've had some guys who served for a very long time. And, when that happens, things get passed down, and you learn and you see the way people lead and you see how they shepherd and you learn something from them. And so, you know, I'm thankful that we've had elders who were here a long time and who served our congregation well for a long time. I still remember Bill Piagary's funeral. It was the fullest I've ever seen the auditorium. Yeah, it was jam-packed up there with just people coming who respected Bill and loved him.
I remember that too, because that's kind of the last of the old style funerals that I had heard about that
Yeah.
they did, where people would sing.
Yeah. So, anyway, I just thought I'd throw that up there. I just think that's pretty interesting. Alan's been serving for quite some time too, if you notice. So, kudos to him.
Like Thomas Rucker, I probably left to go to the new church.
Tom left to help start West Chicago. Right. James Warren. James Warren was an interesting guy. Steve Wolfgang, who is a friend of mine and a minister at the Downers Grove Church, Alan knows him. Steve wrote an article in Truth Magazine back in 1978 about all the trouble that James Warren caused and in Louisville, Kentucky. Warren was sort of thought of as a modernist or a liberal, two words that can mean pretty much anything you want them to mean, I suppose, depending on where you're standing and what you want to communicate. So there was some debate, some hysteria, some concern about the liberals in Chicago. It does seem that several in around this time in the 50s, several Chicago ministers left Churches of Christ and went to the Disciples of Christ, which is sort of thought of as a more liberal group, and in a lot of ways theologically are today a more liberal group. But to whatever degree Mr. Warren was a liberal, I cannot tell you. I don't know much about it. I don't think I've never heard that he caused much trouble here at Northwest with his teaching but interestingly enough, and this often was the way it happened then, and still sometimes is the way it happened. A congregation in the area decided that he needed to be set straight, and so they brought in Foy Wallace and later J.D. Thomas to debate Warren. Warren did not agree to debate either one of them, so they wound up just sort of doing a special speech on modernism or something, and apparently that was kind of as far as it went. You know, Warren's thing is he printed a little tract called The Heresy of Legalism, and was apparently could be a little bit caustic with his wit. And one of the things he said in the pamphlet was that there are some members of Churches of Christ who would refuse to enter heaven if they discovered when they arrived that a few good Methodists had made it. You know, I think that's kind of what got people upset with Mr. Warren. He stayed around for about 3 years, and then there was some personal issues that he had to deal with, and later, I think, was served in the Presbyterian Church in some way or the other. But I just it's kind of interesting. There's a book, Hearing God's Voice. That's the cover of the book. And I read it. I bought the book back in 1996 because Tom Albright was a guy I really respected. And I read the book, and lo and behold, on page about 175, he talks about his time in DeKalb, Illinois. And he says, in the early 1950s, controversy raged over the Chicago area liberals. And says by the time it was really raging, it centered upon James Warren, who preached for the largest congregation in the area, the Northwest Church of Christ. It's interesting. He says the majority of Christians in Northern Illinois either sympathized with Warren or cared little for the controversy. So it was a big nothing burger to most of us around here, I guess. But to some folks, it was a big problem. And so there was a little bit of a kerfuffle there, I guess.
Wow, to counter the Warren.
Yeah. Anyway, I mentioned the Rucker family leaving to go to West Chicago because they actually didn't have to go to West Chicago. They lived in West Chicago and they drove about 75 miles round trip every Sunday to come to Northwest. But they eventually went with 12 families, 37 people to plant a new congregation in West Chicago. And
In
West,
Masonic Hall,
huh?
like over Casey Hall.
Yes, they met in a Masonic hall rented a Masonic hall at first, and then eventually built a building there in West Chicago that's still sitting there and still doing well. That's from their history.
Mr. Curdy was married to Mr. Pipkin's sister, so.
Oh, okay.
A lot of,
Okay, interesting.
There, the Chandler thing, some of them were here and some.
All of them?
Okay, okay,
Well, not, no,
okay. So there was, yeah, so they, okay.
some very close ties.
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
yes.
I just want to mention some names here. Fred Boyd and Marvin Springer were deacons in the early 50s. I ran across some Sunday school teacher names. Betty Spiro, Kate Smith, Lois Boyd, Mary Fields, Colin Warren, Ira Sanders, Edgar Fields, Bill Petty, Arthur Curdy, Alex Spiro, and Tom Rucker. Mr. Boyd and Mr. Curdy were elders in 1953. 226 people about around this time on the membership rolls, including Rose Allen, and I guess Dan wasn't there yet. Was Dan there? Yeah, Dan was there by then. Yeah. And 1953, were you there by then, Dan?
No.
No.
No, not quite. And Alan Bain was there. His name was on the list, and Floyd and Rebecca and Tom Good. Many of us remember Margaret Hutchins, Wally Darrell, Garfield McCaslin, Bill and Laverne Piagari, Tom Rucker Jr., Jim Springer, the Thrasher family, and James and Wayne Weldon. All appear there.
Related.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, we've always had people we've always had families at like extended families at Northwest.
Like Edgar Fields was the son of that other Fields.
Yeah. We have a little gap in our historical documents. I don't know much about Donald Anderson, who was the minister who replaced James Warren. Maybe Alan or Dan can shed more light on Don Anderson.
He seemed to be a little bit liberal too.
Little liberal too. It's kind of interesting because we had guys who were sort of on the liberal side of the spectrum, and we had guys who ended up being on the very, very conservative side of the spectrum. So it's sort of interesting that we had across the board there. The most significant thing to me about Donald Anderson's time there is that during that time, the church sold the parsonage at 4339 North Kildare and bought the current one. That's what sort of stands out to me as being significant, probably to no one else. Purchase price of the house was $20,000, $20,350. Comments or questions or anything at this point? I know I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry.
No, it's interesting.
I can't even see anybody's here on my screen.
The proximity was the main reason they changed?
I don't know. I don't have a clue. I don't know what I know the when they bought the house across the street, the attic and the basement were not finished. That happened pretty quickly after they bought it. So I don't know if the other house was smaller, larger. I don't really have any clue about that.
Okay.
It was Kildare and Montrose.
It's there now.
I've driven by there and I don't believe it's 4339 was the address. And I don't believe there's a 4339 there anymore. So I don't know. All right, well, let's go ahead and we'll get into the mid to late 50s. Elza Hufford came to Northwest in January of 1955. Mr. Hufford was already pretty well known as a minister in Churches of Christ. He would later go on to be superintendent at Schultz Lewis. In fact, that's when he left Northwest, he left to become superintendent at Schultz Lewis.
He wanted to do both jobs, I was told, but the elders here felt that he couldn't.
He couldn't do it. It'd have been tough. I can't imagine how
But he
difficult
was
that would be.
very
Yeah.
Capable
What a
speaker.
stretch.
He went on to also be the president of a Christian college in Pennsylvania that eventually merged with Ohio Valley. And again, Harding School of Theology connections. His nephew was a longtime professor and dean at HST. And I had dinner at his nephew's house last time I was in Searcy. So still very active with the
He has
School of
two
Theology.
brothers.
Yes.
Elvis and Everett.
Everett, I believe, yeah, this is Everett Hufford is the guy associated with Harding, and so I think it's Everett.
They were missionaries, one over in Israel.
Yeah, that's where Everett was born, I believe. So, arguably, this was perhaps when we were growing most explosively. Beginning in 1955, the church had to have 2 services. Remember, we just had 2/3 of the existing building. And we had to have 2 services on Sunday mornings. By 1956, membership was 305, according to our records. By 1959, members and their families were reported in the Northwester as being 435. Wow. So that's a pretty large group at that point in time. Yes. Not everybody came to church, but at the same time, but that was who was on the records.
Patrick,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, this is a little, you just said it. When was the new preacher's house bought?
Early 50s,
Okay, because the
probably.
Huffords lived like on Knox or something. They had a
Maybe they didn't
bungalow.
live in the building. Or
Okay.
maybe they didn't live in the house.
Yeah, because I remember their house real well.
What's that?
I remember their house real well. I think it was on Knox, maybe. It was a couple blocks west, just south of.
You said the Huffords?
The Huffords, yeah. Elza and Beulah.
Alan seems to be remembering that they did live across.
I mean, they might have moved into it.
Maybe they moved at some point because
Yeah.
I know they were doing work on the house, so maybe the house wasn't finished and they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Alfred's daughter was here 3 weeks ago.
About
I
1955.
don't know if it's better.
Doug Phillips, is she married?
Oh, yes. I knew that. I did know that. I always forget that, but I did know that. Yes. Yeah, I did know that.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. No problem. No problem. Yeah, so church was really growing at that point in time. There's a bulletin I thought was kind of interesting in which Hufford writes in 1958, a great influx from Southern churches is responsible for much of the growth in Churches of Christ in Chicago. So, and that's really the way it's kind of been. There have been 2 or 3 sort of migrations of people from the South up to Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland looking for jobs. And my father-in-law and mother-in-law actually came to Chicago during that migration he's talking about. And yeah, from Tennessee. So that was just sort of the pattern. And as they came, they were finding their way into Churches of Christ in the North.
That's when we had
Exactly, which is what I was going to talk about next. Down there, you see the picture of the building more or less as it is. We have since added an elevator onto it, but
Is there some point at which they bleach the brick or something? The original building looks so dark.
I think must have changed the facade, because if you go back and look at when they put on the foyer is the brick it is now. So I think what they did when they did this new addition, I think they just everything that was still showing, they changed the facade. That's the only thing I could feel.
Like Dan said, the original brick is back there.
Yeah, you can see, you can see places, actually one of the closets upstairs too. You can see the roof line and you can see some original.
Right behind him too, all that brick was original.
Yeah, this is, that used to be the exterior wall right over there.
But it's been painted.
It came right after about where that, the air conditioning unit is.
Yeah.
That was the end of our building. Oh, wow,
Yeah.
at one time, and those are original windows right there.
So 1957 is when they
90 years.
put the addition on, cost $65,000. I just love talking about the prices of everything. It cost $65,000. I think it cost almost that much to put the elevator in. No, not quite, but it was pretty expensive to put the elevator in. Adding classrooms, adding third more seating upstairs, adding this area we're sitting in right
Used to
now.
have bonds to the members. To raise
Yeah,
money.
yeah, I was saying they bought sold bonds. So met over here at the Mayfair School, which is now the Irish American Heritage Center, while the work was going on in the building for about 6 weeks. And so that was that's how we got the building that we live in.
That would be cheap now.
Yeah.
It's almost 790,000, but considering all the work they had done, it doesn't look like a whole lot.
Yeah, no, I mean,
So
it's
they got a good deal on
a
it.
lot of exterior work.
New pews. We have the old pews
Yeah,
up in the balcony.
yeah, all that trim work, I guess, dates to that era, doesn't it? They raised what I didn't mention, they raised the ceiling in the auditorium, as I understand it, and put the balcony in, which is remarkable.
Yeah.
That's, that's a lot of work.
Just a lot of work.
Yeah.
You got more bang for your buck back then.
And they did it in 6 weeks.
Be $1 million if we did all
That
that.
sounds about.
Well,
right.
it says that they met for 6 weeks at the Irish American Heritage. It just seems like a lot of work to get done in 6 weeks, but anyway,
Labor was cheap back then, and materials were. a lot
I guess. But even just the, even just the. I'll say also, at this point in time, we planted another church, around this time. Another Evanston Church of Christ, which still exists over on McDaniel Avenue. And by this time, the one we had planted in Evanston had moved up to Wilmette. And so we planted a
And the
new.
Lake Church.
And Lakeview, I know we had something to do with Lakeview or part of it. Yeah.
After the church membership had gotten larger, so many people lived in that area that it was felt to be prudent to
Mhm.
start a separate congregation for them. Even though they've been part of that other merger years ago.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
So some of our
Now,
members in that church is still there.
Yeah.
Uptown Church of
Yes.
Christ.
Now Uptown Church of Christ. I'm never gonna remember to call it that ever. But
so there's
yeah.
another church in Evanston?
Actually Lakeview is in, there's another church in Evanston, but Lakeview is in Chicago. Uptown is in
So
Chicago.
is this the First Church of Evanston? Or
Evanston Church of Christ.
Evanston Church of Christ?
Yeah, Evanston Church. So we will close it down for now. That's plenty. That gets us to the late 50s, and we'll talk a little more about Mr. Hufford and other things going on about that time. But anyway, I hope you're kind of enjoying it, and I hope you find it interesting to learn more about your history, because we all are a part of this congregation, so this is all our history as well. All right, good to see everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your week.
Good night.